This video is from the original Locksmith DVD training program. One lock you need to know about is the little master padlock to combination lock. It's very common on school lockers throughout the country. And now in reality, these little padlocks are really not worth trying to work on as far as finding the combination. They sell for just a very few dollars anymore, and it's not hardly worth the customer's time or the locksmith's time to try to find a combination. But what you may find is somebody that comes in and they've got some emotional tie to the lock, and they've had the lock for a certain amount of time, or it represents something special, and they'll ask you to go ahead and try to find a combination. So that does happen. And there's a couple of ways to do it. One way involves drilling, and to drill, it's in this quadrant over here at about the 1030 position. So if you just turn the lock over and you kind of find 12 o'clock and 9 o'clock, and then you identify about the mid distance between 9 and 12, which is around 1030 on a clock, and then just inside this circle right there you could drill a hole. You can try a 3/16 inch hole. Sometimes you need to go with a quarter, but 3/16 often will work. And we'll be able to look in there and identify the gates on the wheels and find the combination, and I'll show you how to do that. But the first thing you would need to know, of course, is the drill point. So again, it's right at 1030, just inside this circle, this metal circle that goes around the back of the lock. Inside the lock there are 3 wheels. This is a 3-number combination lock, so there's 3 wheels. And the wheels have a gate. There's a gap. It's not solid all the way around. And when you dial the combination, what you're doing is you're lining these gaps up, or these gates in these 3 wheels, right underneath the correct position for the lock to open. And in our case, the correct position for the lock to open is right here where we drill the hole at. So the main parts of the combination padlock, again, we have this locking pawl here. Here's the locking dog that is part of this mechanism. And as you pull this shackle up, it'll pull that locking dog up and release it if, when this rotates, this piece of the pawl right here can come down into these gates. So you have here your gates or your wheel pack, sometimes called the tumblers. But these have to be lined up so that if you have 3 wheels, then all 3 gates got to be lined up. If you got 4 wheels, all of the gates got to be lined up for all 4 wheels. And then the locking pawl will be able to, when this is pulled up and rotated, and I'll show you that in a minute, that comes down into these gates. If these aren't lined up, it'll hit on the top of the wheels and it won't release the shackle. It has to come down into the gate. Okay, I'm going to line the gaps up here. This is not the correct spot to open the lock. I want to just give you a good picture of this. So if I rotate the dial, it'll bring around. It's picked up all 3 wheels now. Okay, there's the first gap in the first wheel. Okay, now I go back the other way, and you'll notice that the number 1 wheel will stay pretty much where it's supposed to be. It did move a little bit, didn't it? But so they can move a tiny bit and they'll still work. Then you bring around the second gap, and that's lined up correctly. Now I turn the dial clockwise now until the 3rd gap is lined up. And you can see it's lined up right there. This is the 3rd gap, and the first 2, you can see that there's a clear space there for the locking pawl. If that gap was over here, the locking pawl could enter that gap and open the lock. So that's your wheel pack or your tumblers. You have your locking dog that's retaining the shackle up here. You have your locking pawl that rotates here, And those are pretty much the working parts of this combination padlock. Now I know it looks like it's turning clockwise, doesn't it? But up here I'm turning counterclockwise. So you have to remember, I'm talking about the direction I'm turning the dial. Please take just a moment to like the video and also subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching. Okay, I've drilled a hole in the back of the lock, like I say, at about the 1030 position. And I drilled a 1/4 inch hole just so we can see better with the camera in here what's happening. But once you've done this a couple of times, you'll be able to drill a 3/16 or a smaller hole and still be able to see these wheels inside the lock. But what we're going to do is we're going to look right inside this lock, and we're going to look at the wheels as the wheels turn around and identify and line up the gates of the wheels. And as we do that, we're going to write down the combination to the lock. Okay, now to get you a better view, I've taken the cover off the back, and it's so we can see down in there a little bit better. It gives us a little better view. And you can see this is what the back of the lock looks like with the cover removed. This is the hole that we drilled here. And again, once you get a little bit better at this, you can actually drill a smaller hole. Usually a 3/16 is plenty. This is a 1/4 inch hole I put in this lock. But I'm going to go ahead and work this combination. And the way we start is we turn it to the right, turn it clockwise 3 times at least. And we'll just stop on the 0 to start with. But I'm going to turn it over here and I'm going to zoom in and try to get you a good picture of this. Okay, so now I'm going to continue turning the dial clockwise, and we're going to watch for the gate to come around. You see all the wheel stacks in there turning. Okay, right there's the gate. If I look at the lock, I can see I'm on 14. And let me just move it back a little bit. I really think 13 lines that up at a 45-degree angle pretty good. But if we did get the wrong number, we're only going to be off one number. But I think 13 lines that up pretty good. So I'm going to write down 13. Then I'm going to come back around, go to the left, go counterclockwise, go back past the 13. I'm going to turn it over now so you can see. I'm going to continue to turn though in the counterclockwise position. But notice that it did move our gate a little bit. Our gate's been moved a little bit. And that's going to happen. We're going to move a little bit as you do that. Now I'm continuing to turn counterclockwise to the left. And there's the second gate right there. Right there. The first 2 gates are now lined up. And we're on number 26 there. But again, the gates have moved a little bit. And so it could be 25 or 27. But what we do next is we just turn it to the right now and look for the 3rd gate. See that wheel turning in there? Just take your time, slow. Right there it is, it's lined up. And we're on 8.5. So we can write down 8. But if you want to just get the lock opened, try it, see if it'll open. I can tell the wheels moved a tiny bit. I can take a small screwdriver and I can go down in there and I can line them up a little bit and move them back. I think they need to come to the right just a little bit, about like that right there. Let's see. Now watch and see if you can see this locking pawl come down in there. You can see it up there. We're not quite lined up to the right position. So we're going to move the gaps down a little bit, not quite that much. I think the third one down there is not lined up quite right. So you see, once I got them lined up just right, I open the lock. Here you can see where the nose of the locking pawl has entered the gate, and the lock can now open. Okay, so we had the combination 1326-8, and it didn't really open easily. It would open, but 1326-9 is a better combination. So turn right to 13, come back past the 13, go to 26, then come back to 9. Seems to open easily, 1326-9. So I adjusted that one number from 8 to 9. Now, as far as repairing the hole in the back of the lock, just use some JB Weld steel stick. It's a good idea to have a stick of this putty around the shop. It comes in handy for lots of uses and doing small repairs. But you can just take a little ball of this putty and just stick it right over the hole on the back of the lock, smash it down kind of flat, and it should be just fine. Okay, now on newer master locks, they don't put the codes on the locks. And I believe most of the coding stopped on the locks after 2009. But if you look on the back of this combination lock, it looks like there may be a code on it, and I'll zoom in on it. You see it says 4817M, and then it has the combination right there, but 4817M. That means that this lock was manufactured in the 48th week of 2017 in the Milwaukee plant. That's what that means. That's not a code for the combination of the lock. So you want to be aware of that. Now the older locks, many older locks before 2009 will have the codes on them. And then also, if it's a batch of locks that are sent to a commercial business, a school district, or some large industry, those locks quite likely will have codes on them. But just this, like a lock like this that you just buy from a hardware store, they quit coding those. Please take just a moment to like the video and also subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.